trying to do today is we have an issue where two of our spark plug wells have a ridiculous amount of oil in them. We were driving the car, we had finally gotten it started, and we started to notice that it was knocking a lot. We have a knock sensor, and it should have triggered a code, and it didn't, but also this is a swapped engine, so maybe we lost something there. But there's a lot of oil in two of the spark plug wells. We're taking a look at it, and we're figuring that it's probably due to bad O-rings on the valve cover gasket. So we're replacing the valve cover gasket, replacing the O-rings for the spark plug wells. We'll probably have to replace the coil wires in those spark plugs too, and then we'll fire it back up and see if we have any more problems. So just for a frame of reference, we wanted to show you guys what the engine sounded like before we started to work on it. We started by removing all of our hoses and spark plug wires and disconnecting the 3 nuts and 1 cover holding our valve cover in. The rubber seals under our nuts were cracked and worn, but aren't our immediate concern. Eventually, we should replace them though.
It is definitely torn.
Yeah.
The seal itself is already torn, so that might be the issue we're having of how oil was getting into the spark plug well.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah, what he said.
We decided that before getting the O-rings out of the valve cover, we would do our best to remove as much oil as we possibly could from the spark plug wells. There was a lot of it, but after many times dipping in and out with the spark plug socket, we were able to remove most of the oil. Carefully removed all the old O-rings and cleaned up the seats for the new ones. We then oiled up the new ones, but we were having some real trouble getting them in. We tried to pull them out to check and make sure we were putting them in right. Then, well, let's just say we made a mistake.
I'm not gonna say.
Show me what you just did. show me the pure stupidity that I just witnessed.
Well, Caleb tore it, so in trying to take it out, it tore a lot more.
Tore the damn seal. 2 options: we either go buy a new kit for $30,
You're probably gonna have to buy a new kit, because
or we use one of these.
We used one of those. We used one of the old seals that wasn't torn and put everything back together in the reverse order of how we took it apart. Once we got everything back together, we decided to give it another test to see if it was running any better and to see if we were still getting oil in the spark plug wells. So we just tested the 2 spark plugs to see if they were sparking. We tested them outside of the engine. Well, we definitely have fuel injection because it was injecting back out of the port. There might be oil on the top of the cylinders, but we can't really tell. There's not a whole lot, but there was oil on the threads of the spark plugs. So we might have worn out piston rings, and that would be bad. But we're gonna go get new spark plugs, new coil wires, just to see if that's the issue, if spark will help solve the problem. Because like we said, the car was running fine when we first started it, and it got progressively worse. And the piston rings might have failed while we were driving, or it might have just got the oil over those plugs and wires, and that might have been the issue. So we'll just have to see what happens. But we're gonna get new spark plugs and new wires to see how that works.
Let's do it.
So, welcome back. Kevin is walking up right now. We're going to work on getting the spark plug wires and spark plugs that we bought in the car. We've already done a little bit of engine cleanup. Actually, Kevin mostly did that. And we're going to get those plugs and wires back in. It's probably not going to fix our issue, but they definitely need to be fixed because we weren't getting spark. So that's what we're going to get done today.
We got to work removing the old spark plug wires and putting in the new ones. It was a really simple process. It was just 2 bolts taken off. The old spark plug wires didn't look bad, but the wires on the number 3 and 4 cylinder both had that oil over them from whenever those seals failed. We also removed all the old spark plugs and put 4 new spark plugs in just for good measure. Once we got everything back together, we went ahead and gave the car another start to see how it sounded. Well, now that those 2 cylinders have spark, the knock's a different cadence, but clearly that wasn't our only issue. We have some work to do.